What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a makeup sponge versus brush. And just kind of give you my opinions and show you one side with the sponge and one side with the brush. It used to be like ride or die makeup sponge, but now since I started trying the brush, like I'm actually really liking it a lot. I feel like it goes on smoother, doesn't soak up as much product. But it also could be depending on the foundation that you're using. So depending on the foundation, you might need a more wet like application. The sponge might be nicer, and depends on skin types, preferences. So try it out. I'm going to show you guys how it looks on my skin, and especially because I have a lot of like some redness and acne on my chin. So I just want to show you guys like my preference and stuff. So let's get started with the video. So I haven't used a primer yet. The primer that I'm going to be putting on is my One Heck of a Blot primer by Soap & Glory, which for all my shiny girls out there, I'm absolutely loving this primer. You're going to want to put like a pea-sized amount on your finger and just apply it to where you have the most pores and right in between your eyebrows, because that's where I get oily, and it does help with shine. Also, once you put it on, I like to kind of press it in. It just like fills in the pores and really does give you a smooth finish and a really good application. Alright, so I have the rest of my makeup done, so let's get on with the foundation. So I'm going to be doing my right side with the sponge and the left side with the brush. I'm going to start with my sponge. The foundation I'm using is my Covergirl Clean Matte Foundation in the shade 520. So I'm going to do one side first just because I started filming this video earlier with a different foundation and it was just really dry, and I put it all over my face and one side got dry, so it really wasn't accurate on my brush or sponge. So try number 2 on the video. So I have my right side done. Now I'm going to go in with my dampened makeup sponge. It's a whole lot better to dampen it. If you leave it dry, you're going to be like pounding your face with a sponge, and not only is it just like uncomfortable, but it really doesn't put on your foundation correctly like it would with a sponge. So I'm just going to go in, and also depending on your foundations too, like I said earlier, just depends on which application you might like. You might like the sponge better with one foundation and then the brush better with the other one. You really kind of just have to play around with your foundations. And I am going to zoom you in so y'all can see the difference. Okay, so this is one layer of the with the sponge, and as you can see, it covered up really well. I kind of stopped right here, but you can still see this pimple, and you can kind of see a little bit, but it did really well. So now let's do the other side with the brush, and I'm gonna dot on the same amount that I did. Okay, so the brush that I'm using is from Wet n Wild. It just has a like pink kind of top. Wet n Wild doesn't really have like labels, numbers, or your like names or anything for their brushes. I'm sure it did when I first bought it, but now it doesn't. And I'm just really liking it. Another tip is if your brush is dirty, it's gonna kind of like not be like, you know, so dense and like flat. It's gonna be all kind of clumped together and weird, and it will leave streak marks. So clean your brushes. And FYI, the sponge that I got is from Ross. It was about $2.99 or $2.50, something like that. So now I'm gonna go in with my brush. And I've just been really loving the brush. I feel like it just really puts it on so well. I mean, the sponge does also, don't get me wrong, I still love my sponge. But I've been really loving my brush lately. This foundation is a very light coverage foundation, so I usually sometimes go in twice just so you can, you know, get the full coverage, or if you're just gonna go for like a casual everyday one coat or layer is perfectly fine. So this side is with the sponge, and then this side is with the brush. You can still see that pimple right there and the redness right over here, but I don't know. I've just been really liking the brush lately. I feel like it kind of does have a little bit more coverage. It might look similar on camera, but looking in person, like, I kind of feel like it put this one on a lot more smoother than it did this one. Like, I still have a lot of like texture. I just feel like it kind of like smooths everything out. Let me zoom you guys out a little bit and just finish applying the rest of my foundation. I am also going to be putting, it's dried up on this side now. I am going to be putting on the rest of my face just so y'all can see what the products also look like on top of the foundation. So let's just add a little bit more here, and I'm going to kind of quickly do it so it doesn't dry. And go in with my brush on this side. And this foundation does kind of look really light on the skin, like when you're first applying it, but once you let it sit, it really does kind of blend in really well with the skin. Okay, so my foundation is on. This is the sponge side and the brush side. They do kind of look similar, so like I said, it is all kind of preference, but I do feel like it put on a little bit more smoothly, and it's, the brush kind of sets on top of the skin looking, whereas the sponge might kind of just like press it all in. So that's why it might look a little bit like smooth and like flat, versus I can still see my textures on this side. So that could be why. So now I'm going to go in with my loose face powder, and I'm using my Airspun loose face powder. So for this, I always use a sponge for under my eyes. Almost forgot the concealer. First, I need to put on some concealer, of course. So if I don't have my sponge, which I always have a sponge with me, but if you don't have a sponge and you only get the brush, then you can use your fingers to put on the concealer on your brush side, which I have been doing that a lot lately also. Or on top of the makeup sponge, I will kind of press it in. After I use my finger, I'll just put my makeup sponge on top. So I like to just kind of press on top, just to make sure it's all even and my fine lines are hidden. So now I'm going to go in with that Airspun loose face powder. And you do have to use a sponge for this, you can't use your hand. Let that sit for a little bit. And now I'm just going to go in with the rest of my face, just the same of whatever I put on here, and just kind of pat this all in the face. Another helpful thing for my oily skin girls, this helps me stay matte all day. So it's another thing that y'all would love. Okay. So I'm not really big on like baking, but I do like to kind of just set it and bake a little bit, but not for a too extreme long amount of time, you know. So now I'm gonna put my bronzer on, and it's really sad. My bronzer broke, but I've still been using it. I'm actually going to film a tutorial on how to fix broken bronzers, but it really wasn't that bad, so I'm still using it. It's just one like little section of it cracked, but it's still usable. On the other side especially. So now let's put on the rest of my face. Bronzer is amazing. You get that like little sun-kissed glow. And I have a really clean brush, like it's still a little damp. It's not wet, but I feel some little dampness on there. So I'm going in with more layers on my, got a little bristle. There we go. Going in with more layers on the face, but it gives you like a little nice like sun-kissed-y glow. So now for the highlighter, I'm using my Mary Lou Manizer, which I have been loving. It's a really nice subtle highlight, but it definitely builds up. You see how pretty that is? It's so pretty. I do feel like adding a little bit more today. So pretty. So now let me set everything with some NYX Matte Finish setting spray. And that is the completed look for today. I hope this helps you guys. It was more of a, because there's not like a big difference on the sponge side. Let me zoom you guys in. Let me zoom you real close. So there, I don't know why I have that weird like a shape. Like it looks like a scratch, but it's like two pimples. I don't know. But, so this is the makeup sponge side and this is the brush side. I don't know if you can tell, but I just feel like the brush side might look a little bit more flawless than the sponge side. Zoom you guys back out. And that completes this look for today. I hope this helps you guys. It's more of like a preference. There's not like a huge difference on sponge versus brush, but it's all preference and the foundation that you use. It all kind of just differs with your skin and everyone. But I hope this video helped you guys. Don't forget to press the cute little pink subscribe button over there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys. So today I'm going to be talking about nursing, about becoming a nurse, the field, the reasons why I